Hey everyone, so today's video I'm going to be going over a bit of a controversial topic, but for me I think it's really important for you guys to know about is the number one biggest solo queue mistake that I see players make. And this is myself included. So the term I call and I name it is just compensation. And so what I'm going to be doing is showing you a few clips of my own where I make this mistake. And today was one of those solo queue days where I just made a shit ton of mistakes and it's all stemmed from the exact same thing. And I'll show you a lot of different situations and then how you can deal with it, and not do it yourself. So the first thing I want to bring attention to is when you get into every single game, whatever champion you're playing, you should come in with a basic game plan. So for me, when I play Twisted Fate, again, I like running Spellbook, so I want the game to be clean. I want it to be, the early game to be clean. I don't want anything to happen. I want to farm to 1100 gold base, come back, get my catalyst, use my TP, get back to lane, and play the game out. But when I see these level one invades, especially with our team, with a Twitch, Kiana level one's really bad, Zillion level one's really bad, my level one's really bad because we have no follow up damage. Yes, we have Braum, which is okay, but versing that specific team when they know that they could be potentially stacking already, I'm compensating. And by me not calling off this play, I'm already creating the conditions for me to potentially lose this game or ruin how I'm going to carry this game. If we go in here and they stack and then I have to blow my flash, or um, someone on my team dies or even I die, it's going to ruin my lane completely, and I might have to TP back to lane, something like that. Um, it's already creating the conditions for me to lose. And yes, we do this, and it becomes a little bit weird. They aren't here, and maybe they saw us. I'm not sure. And then this scrappy fight happens, and it doesn't end up being too bad for me, but I already knew this was going to be a bit of an average situation for us, just purely based off the champions on my team. So straight up, for me, this is the first example. We'll go through a lot more, but again, it all stems back from, okay, I should be taking control of every single one of my games, and that starts from literally the get-go. If you don't think the invade is going to be great for your lane, then don't do it. Simple as that. So this next clip, again, all right, to give a bit of context, we've just been heavy trading me in brand, and I kind of just want to reset. I've got corrupting pots ticking, but I'm happy to farm from farm safely. So what I see here is that I see Kiana, my jungler, posturing, right? And I know that we had no really river control, so there's most likely going to be wards. Um, Brand, yes, he didn't have summoners, but again, we didn't really know where Lee Sin was. And the other part, the crucial part of the puzzle here, was that Camille had been shoving in Maokai and was on his way down, or like he ducked out of vision. So I can assume that he was probably in river here because he didn't need to base; he was full HP. So right now, I knew in my head, because he's been waiting here for a while, that this was a bad gank. I didn't want this to happen. But for me, the error that again, and this is the biggest mistake, we see Lee Sin. I already know this is potentially bad in my head. I've got this really like this bad feeling, but again, I'm not brave enough or confident enough, or I don't know why, but this is the biggest mistake I see people do is just not call off these plays. And then Kiana goes for this play. I feel like I have to compensate, and this is me just compensating, going for the play with it. And yes, this is bad on my part. Maybe I shouldn't have done it and just let Kiana get the kill. But now I feel like I have to back her up because if Lee Sin goes on Kiana and then I don't back her up, then I'm gonna get flamed or something like that. And so I try to back her up because I knew Lee Sin was there. And yes, Camille is here, just like I said. And then I end up dying, and yeah. So again, that was super simple. I already knew that this, like, in deep down, I knew that this wasn't the right play. But again, I didn't have the bravery or the confidence, or I just didn't use pings. So my solution here is, again, you'll see all these clips. Use pings. If you think it's a bad play, don't be afraid to call it off. So we'll see another play in this game where I also do a form of compensation. Oh, okay. So actually, So here, I thought that Syndra Cleanse was down. So right now, I'm really useless. I've actually, used my ultimate. I don't really have any mana. Yes, we've pushed out Syndra, but Maokai's top and Camille said this is there's nothing else to do. And then when I see Kiana do this, I already think that this is a bad fight, so I should be pinging back, 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 back. But what do? I flash stun card, already thinking that this is bad, and then it gets us all into trouble here because everyone thinks we're just going to win this fight, and then we all end up getting cleaned up. And yes, both times, look, what's the common factor? I've been going in a fight where yes, you can say that I contributed to it, but again, it's a problem that I can fix. I can call these plays off. I know I'm Twisted Fate. I failed my gank, which is already the problem. I should just push the wave with Kai'Sa and back off and accept reality and go back to my lane. Just because I'm here doesn't mean I need to make a fight, or just because my teammates go in. It's better sacrificing one person if you think the play's really bad, and then or just ping them off in the first place, which is even better. So you're starting to see the trend here. Let's continue to go through some more clips. So to give a bit of context in this situation, we just kind of control top side of the map here. Our bot lane had just based, so they have full control over bot side. They just shoved out bot wave, so they could be on dragon, they could be getting vision, they could be doing a lot of things. So Kindred's actually doing like kind of like a vertical jungle on top side here, but we have plenty of vision, so we know they're on bot side. Yes, the wave's pushing out here right now, and this is a Veigar. He doesn't have cleanse. He took TP. So Kindred starts pinging like on the way. But I don't want to go for this here. In my mind, I'm like, well, I'm TF. I just want to let the sides push out, and then I want to use my ult onto a side lane. Push in Vega and then ult onto a side lane. But he keeps pinging, keeps pinging. So then I'm like, all right, if you really want to do this. And I knew that this was a bad play in my mind. I'm like, well, of course they're going to be in River here. They've pushed out bot lane. Where else are they going to be? It's not like they've reset. They've just come back off a reset. So here, and then he just ends up dying. And I could have prevented that thing. Yes, I didn't die at all. And again, I contributed to the situation. But you're starting to see the common trends here. These are situations where I know my identity as Twisted Fate or my champion in this game, and plays are happening that I don't totally agree with, and I'm not sticking up for myself and calling it off. Next one. So if you look at the game set, we're starting to get into mid game. Bot tower's dead. So and we dragon's not up. So next objective is like top tower. What I wanted to do was actually either go sit mid and want Ash to get next mid wave and go top, and Rengar base and go bot, or Ash just stay mid and then I'll end up getting blue and then going top, or something like that. But what happens is that I get blue, and then I see Ash starting to walk bot, and instead of me pinging her and telling her to go back mid, or just trying to control the situation of the game, and all this thing, I know that this is all really bad. I know that we should be playing topside here. There's nothing to do. I'm like, well, I don't even know what to call it. It's like I just compensate again. I'm like, well, I don't want to be mid here. I don't really know what I'm doing anymore. The game's not in my hands anymore. It feels like I'm not doing what I want to do, and then I lose concentration, and then I just die. And like you start to see the trends again. It's just where I don't feel comfortable in the game anymore, and I'm not using pings for some reason, and I'm compensating for my team, and I'm not taking control. So I get myself in these really poor situations, and I look in review, I'm like, why did I do that? And it's like, I knew to call this off. I knew what to do in this specific situation, but I didn't do it. Why didn't I do it? And this is the same problem I see with so many people. And again, all it takes is using pings, using your brain, and actually thinking like, wait, why don't I just tell them? Pings actually are so OP. Let's go into another clip. All right, so this next play, Gragas comes in for a really a good gank. Zoe nearly gets out. We chunk, Shen just ults. Right. So now I'm playing Twisted Fate. If I check my gold, I don't really have much gold, but again, Zoe has no resources, no pots, nothing. Shen ult actually got interrupted. So right now, and right now as TF, I know my own identity. I've played a lot of TF, so what I want to do is shove this out, proc my demolish, and go back to base and get my blasting wand. So, and I don't, and remember one of the key things about Twisted Fate is you never want to use your ult defensively. You only want to use your ult when it's a game-changing ultimate. But what I see, if we go back a little bit, I actually see here, bot lane take a bad trade as after this happens, if we go here, they take a bad trade like this. So I'm like, wait, do they need me help? And instead of just, even just using it and helping bot lane, yes, they back off. I don't need to go. But again, this is just me compensating. I don't even know why I'm doing this. It's like, well, I know this is a bad ultimate, right? I know that I need to shove mid and then base and come back, get my using my gold, get a next item, and then look to push Zoe in because she has no summoners, and then go back bot after that. But I'm getting dragged into these fights because I feel like I have to compensate for my team. And this is just me being like again, not taking control of the situation, not being decisive, not sticking to my own guns, knowing exactly what I want, and then getting falling into the trap of like the solo queue compensation or the solo queue reactive gameplay. So what I should, and again, this isn't just for TF, this is for every single champion of the game. You know, it's the same for when you're playing a jungler and you know you shouldn't go for that specific gank and you should be ganking somewhere else or just resetting, but you do it anyway and then you die and you're like, why did I do that? Every single time you got to listen to yourself, and that's actually how you improve. Because if you listen to yourself and it wasn't the right play, um, you know what I mean? Then you can learn from it. But if you're listening to everyone else's plays all the time, you're actually not improving. All you're doing is just again, listening to everyone else's plays, and then you'll use that excuse for yourself, like, oh, I knew that was the wrong play, so I already knew. I won't have to worry about it. So next play. All right, and so this situation, again, I got a really great base off. I come back with my catalyst. I'm 10 CS up. I got heaps of tempo right now. I just hit 6, so I'm threatening bot. And right now, this is a great opportunity for me to look to get deep vision into bot side and just get some deep vision and then go back to mid lane. But what I walk up and my original intention here was to back up Karthus. I was thinking he was going to get deep vision, and then he blast goes over to try and kill Elise in the jungle when their bot lane just base and is coming out off a reset, and the Vel'Koz's just here. So then again, I try to back him up instead of just leaving straight away. Again, I just try and help him. I don't even know what I'm doing right now. And then I have to blow flash and then end up dying, giving kills. And there goes my lead completely. I have to burn my summoners and we give bot lane kills as well. And there goes the game. Oh no, that's like a huge, huge thing in the game. The game's not in our control anymore. And so again, to recap a lot of the things I've shown you in this clip, I want you to, would like you to have a think about some of the mistakes that you've made in your last games. And those times where you just feel really frustrated because you think that you're making these mistakes that um, you're making mistakes that you think you're better than in a way. Have a think about it, and I think my number one, a few pieces of advice. Number one, when you get that feeling, when you think this is a bad fight, and if you can see it in advance, use pings to call off the play. It doesn't matter. People will generally listen to the play, listen to your pings. If you do it enough and use the signal back ping. The other thing as well, before you can even know what type of fights are going to be good and what type of fights are going to be bad, what you should be doing is thinking about, okay, what do I want to happen in this game with my specific champion? You should know like what items you want to base on, what pace of the game, what specific checklist do you have for your champion in your game so you can tick these boxes and this means you can carry. So, for Karthus jungle, it might mean that you need to get your whole first clear off and get to your first base. For at least it might mean you need to blow a flash in your first clear. Whatever it is, it needs to be one thing that you want to tick off. And when you start diverting from that checklist, that's when you start getting into trouble. And hopefully you can learn from some of my lessons here in these videos. And prevent yourself from making these mistakes by just using pings and not compensating for your teammates. Thanks for watching, and I'll be putting out a video soon on how to play TF in-depth guide. So stay tuned. Cheers.